Next Thursday is Six Flags Day. This is the day when Six Flags announces all their additions nationwide for 2020. With 15 parks, there is sure to be a lot to be announced, so I figured I'd best get my prediction video out before then. Now remember, these are just predictions. I do not know what is actually coming to all the parks, and I'm basing these off rumors and teasers. In recent years, Six Flags additions have mostly followed a pattern. Every park gets something every year, and is usually either a coaster, a flat ride, or a water park attraction. In general, most of the coasters are stock models with one custom coaster coming to the chain each year. Last year was an anomaly in this respect with 2 custom coasters. Next year, I expect the chain to return to the pattern seen in former years, with mostly stock coasters, flat rides, and water park additions. We'll start with one of the parks Six Flags just acquired, Frontier City. As a small family-oriented park in Oklahoma City, this is not likely one to receive a major addition. However, its newness to the chain makes it difficult to predict. Under the former owners, this park rarely received anything of note. However, Six Flags added Timbertown this year, completely redoing the kids area and modernizing it. I expect next year they will add one of their signature flat rides. The going rumor for Frontier City is a Starflyer, and I do not see any reason to doubt this. It is a good flat ride for all audiences, as it is thrilling without being too extreme, and would fit well in a park like Frontier City. Grayscape is Six Flags' other unbranded family-oriented park. Located some distance from any major city, this park is more popular with vacationing families than thrill seekers. In recent years, Grayscape has followed an alternating pattern of getting a water park edition one year, followed by a family flat ride the next year. With the water park edition added in 2019, I expect 2020 will be a family flat ride. With Six Flags preferring Zamperla flat rides, I expect next year's edition may be a disco. It is a great ride for families as it is thrilling but not too extreme. Let's finish off the unbranded Six Flags parks with La Ronde, unofficially known as Six Flags Canada. Despite being located in downtown Montreal, this park receives surprisingly few additions from the chain. In recent years, La Ronde has received nothing but flat rides. However, they have removed 2 coasters recently, Cobra, an Intamin stand-up, and Super Menage, a Vekoma corkscrew. As a result, I think something big is coming next year. That said, I do not feel Six Flags will invest in a new coaster for La Ronde. However, they happen to have one sitting around. Six Flags Magic Mountain has decommissioned Green Lantern and is currently in the process of taking it down. With different regulations in Canada, I suspect they will send this coaster up to La Ronde and reassemble it there. Hopefully they will be able to operate it properly at this park. Now we'll start the branded parks with Six Flags America. This is a park that often draws a short end of the stick as it is located in a highly competitive market yet is too small to compete with its neighbors. While the park does receive something every year, most of their investments are either standard flat rides or are small improvements to existing attractions. 2020 looks to be another flat ride. Survey markings line up perfectly with the footprint of a Zamperla Giant Discovery, and a trademark filing indicates a Harley Quinn themed ride next year. Given that Six Flags New England has this exact same ride with the exact same thing, I expect a copy is coming here. Darien Lake is a former Six Flags park that was reacquired by the company last year, and indications show that they are ready to invest in this park if there is a market for it. Just before Six Flags took ownership, the park added their first coaster in a decade, and Six Flags went big by dropping a Sky Screamer in right off the bat. I expect next year will be a different sort of addition. Darien Lake's water park has always been extremely popular, so I suspect a water park edition may be added next. A hybrid slide similar to Typhoon Twister seems like a fair guess for next year. Discovery Kingdom is an extremely tough park to predict because they've received more large additions in recent years than similarly sized parks in the chain. With 3 coasters as well as a major flat ride in the past 4 years, the park has received investment comparable to the top parks in the chain. All of these attractions have been thrill-oriented and all have used the DC theme. Therefore, my original expectation for next year was a DC Super Friends Kids area to continue the DC theme yet appeal to younger audiences. Recent teasers, however, have indicated the park is likely getting something added in the animal area rather than another superhero attraction. With the need for a family attraction, I am still thinking this will be a family flat ride of some sort. However, it is possible it could be a first in the chain rather than the stock model seen here. Fiesta Texas is another park that has received a disproportionate amount of investment lately. The park is used as a testing ground for Six Flags, often adding new attractions before they are mass-produced across the chain. With a coaster, dark ride, major flat ride, and water park project in the last 3 years, there is not much more this park can add without duplicating something they already have. However, they have not added a family attraction in some time. Next year's edition will likely be some sort of family flat ride and could potentially be the first of its kind in the chain. My guess is it may be the same exact thing Discovery Kingdom is getting, as Six Flags likes to buy in bulk. Of the major Six Flags parks, Great Adventure has surprisingly received the least investment in recent years. The park has only received 2 coasters in the past decade, with most of their additions being the same flat rides seen elsewhere in the chain. However, I think 2020 could be the year for something big. Sources say Six Flags has ordered 2 Raptor coasters from RMC for 2020, and I highly suspect at least one of these is destined for Great Adventure. However, a stock model Raptor does not have the capacity required for such a large park. Therefore, I suspect Great Adventure's edition to be a larger custom model of the Raptor, and potentially a dueling Raptor. Great America is one of the biggest parks in the Six Flags chain, and they received one of the chain's largest additions in 2019 with Max Force. Before that, this park has routinely received large investments, often either a stock coaster or a record-breaking flat ride. For 2020, I think the record-breaking will continue, but will move from the ride park to the water park. After installing a water coaster at Fiesta Texas a couple years ago, Six Flags has surprisingly not installed another. However, I suspect 2020 will be the year for the next one, and it will appear at Great America in record-breaking form. Six Flags Magic Mountain, my home Six Flags park, was the other park in the chain to receive a major custom coaster in 2019 with West Coast Racers. However, that attraction has seen numerous delays and has yet to open. Despite this, it will not be re-advertised as a 2020 attraction, as I have heard they are aiming for an October opening at this time. Instead, I expect the park to continue their pattern going big next year, even though this sometimes results in an addition the park does not really need. There is a popular rumor of the park adding the world's largest sky screamer, but I do not expect this to happen. Instead, I think several smaller rides will be added. Several years ago, Six Flags added a villain-themed flat ride package to Over Texas. With the removal of Green Lantern and rumored removal of Tidal Wave, I could see Magic Mountain doing the same thing next year. None of these rides will be particularly unique on their own, but together they will help bolster a very lacking flat ride collection. As the chain's only park in Latin America, Six Flags Mexico is a bit of an outlier. This park is a smaller park, yet it often receives large additions to assure dominance over the region. Last year, the park got a new coaster in the form of Free Spin, and this year they expanded their kids area, added a whole new DC Super Friends, and added a water park attraction. Next year will probably be a flat ride of some sort. The most likely candidate is a Zamperla Giant Discovery. I predict this will be the park's edition next year, and that will be the largest one in Latin America, if not the world. Six Flags New England is another outlier park, receiving quite a bit of investment despite being more medium-sized. This park often receives either an interesting flat ride of some sort or a stock coaster. They have routinely added a coaster every 2 to 3 years, so most predictions were that 2020 would be the next coaster year. However, I think they will wait one more year for a coaster and add something smaller instead. Next year's edition will likely be a smaller thrilling flat ride, perhaps a Zamperla Endeavor. I would not be surprised if Six Flags decides to supersize this attraction for marketing purposes, but I do not expect something much larger than this in scale. The last 3 parks are the 3 original Six Flags parks, and I predict each of these 3 will be getting some sort of coaster next year. We will start with Six Flags Over Georgia. This park has been on a roll in recent years with the Justice League Dark Ride, an RMC conversion, and a Giant Discovery. My expectation was 2020 would not be a coaster year, however, survey markings indicate something big is coming. As it is one of the few large Six Flags parks without an S&S free spin, I am betting on that for Over Georgia's 2020 edition. Whether it will receive a DC theme or not is unknown, as the park already has Joker, Batman, and Wonder Woman themed rides. I am thinking it may be included in the new Scream Punk district and given a more generic theme. Six Flags Over Texas is the original Six Flags park, and despite holding that distinction, they surprisingly receive less investment than many of the other major parks. In recent years, the park's additions have been mostly flat rides. They did get a stock coaster with the Joker free spin, but other than that have not gotten anything major in quite some time. However, documents have been released that indicate a Mack Power Splash is likely for 2020. This is a new attraction for the Six Flags chain, but was hinted at in one of their surveys. If successful, I expect more Six Flags parks to add this ride in 2021 and beyond. Last up is Six Flags St. Louis. This is often considered one of the more neglected Six Flags parks, but I feel the lack of investment this park typically receives is more due to its location and limited growth potential than anything else. While this park does tend to install the same stock flat rides received throughout the chain, there are usually rides that are decent in their own respect. One of the leading rumors for 2020, therefore, is that the park will receive a Zamperla Giant Discovery to replace Excalibur, a ride that has operated very limited hours in the past few years. However, I have an alternate theory. As mentioned earlier, Six Flags was said to have purchased 2 RMC Raptors for 2020, and I think the second could be destined for St. Louis. Given the size of the park, capacity would not be a concern with the stock model here, and it would be a nice thrill at a small price for a park that has not received a coaster in 7 years. Before signing off, let's recap 2020 as a whole for Six Flags. In short, it looks like 5 coaster projects next year: LaRonde, Great Adventure, Over Georgia, Over Texas, and St. Louis. While most of these will be stock model coasters, they will still be popular with the local audience who may not travel to other parks in the chain to experience the ride there. Other parks not receiving a coaster should receive a flat ride or a water park edition, which will keep pass holders and members coming back even if they might not be the most exciting rides on their own. Overall, 2020 does not look as interesting as 2019 did, but it should bring some new concepts to the chain that may be duplicated in future years. That about does it for this prediction video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy what your local Six Flags has in store for next year.